In the highlands of East Africa, where the Blue Nile winds through ancient mountains, rose one of Africa's most visionary and determined leaders, Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia. In an age of colonial domination across the African continent, he stood firm, modernized his empire, and dealt a crushing blow to European imperial ambition at the Battle of Adwa. This is the story of Menelik II, the African emperor who made history. He was originally named Sahel Mariam. Menelik II was born on August 17, 1844, in Angolala, in the Shua province of Ethiopia. At the time, Ethiopia was not a unified nation, but a patchwork of kingdoms ruled by powerful regional nobles under a weakened central authority. His father, King Menelik of Shua, was one of those rulers. After his father's death, young Menelik was taken hostage by Emperor Tewodros II, a powerful and controversial figure trying to centralize the empire. But in 1865, he escaped and returned to Shua, and soon declared himself King of Shua. When Emperor Johannes IV died in 1889, Menelik seized the moment and declared himself Emperor of Ethiopia. During his captivity, Menelik was treated with relative respect and educated at the imperial court. Over the next 2 decades, Menelik used diplomacy, military strength, and strategic alliances to expand his territory and power. Unlike many African rulers of his time, Menelik had a clear vision to modernize Ethiopia and prepare it for the challenges of the modern world. He imported new technologies, hired European experts, and sent Ethiopians to study abroad. Under his rule, Ethiopia saw the construction of roads and bridges, the introduction of the telegraph and postal systems, modern weaponry purchased from France, Russia, and Italy, the foundation of Addis Ababa, which became the new capital. He introduced modern schools, military training, and a national currency, the Ethiopian birr. Menelik's goal was simple but powerful: to create a strong, centralized Ethiopia that could resist foreign domination and take its place among modern nations. By the late 19th century, Europe was scrambling to divide Africa. Britain, France, and Italy had already carved up vast portions of the continent. Ethiopia, landlocked and rich in culture and resources, became a prime target. Italy, which had already occupied parts of Eritrea, sought to extend its control into Ethiopian territory. In 1889, Italy signed the Treaty of Wuchale with Menelik. But there was a problem. The Amharic version said Ethiopia could use Italy to communicate with European powers. But the Italian version claimed Ethiopia had become an Italian protectorate. Menelik rejected this deception, and tensions began to rise. On March 1, 1896, the world watched as an African army faced off against a modern European military at the Battle of Adwa. The battle was fierce, but Menelik's forces, fighting on home terrain and driven by a patriotic cause, overwhelmed the Italian army. In a few hours, the Italian army was crushed. Thousands were killed or captured. The world was stunned. The Battle of Adwa marked the first major victory of an African power against a European empire in modern times. It was a defining moment, not just for Ethiopia, but for the entire African continent, and gradually withdrew from public life, leaving the empress and his advisors to manage affairs. After the Battle of Adwa, Italy was forced to sign the Treaty of Addis Ababa, recognizing Ethiopia's full sovereignty. Menelik's victory made headlines around the world. Ethiopia became a symbol of African resistance, inspiring future generations of Pan-Africanists and freedom fighters. Western powers, including France, Britain, and Russia, recognized Ethiopia's independence and established diplomatic relations. Menelik used this moment to further strengthen his empire. He secured modern borders, encouraged trade, and opened diplomatic missions in Europe. Emperor Menelik II ruled until his death in 1913. In his later years, he suffered a stroke, but his legacy was already cemented. His leadership ensured that Ethiopia remained free during an era when nearly all of Africa fell under colonial rule. A unifier of Ethiopia, a modernizer, a visionary leader, and above all, a defender of African sovereignty today, his image is honored on statues, currency, and history books across Ethiopia. In an age where Africa's history is often written through the lens of colonialism, Menelik II stands as a reminder that African nations were not passive victims. He showed that with unity, vision, and resilience, even a landlocked kingdom in the mountains could challenge and defeat an empire. Menelik's triumph at Adwa was not just a military victory, it was a declaration that Africa had its own leaders, civilizations, and future. And that future could be shaped by Africans themselves. More than a century after his reign, Menelik II's spirit lives on, in the independence of Ethiopia, in the pride of African nations, and in the pages of world history. He wasn't just a king, he was a defender of dignity, a symbol of sovereignty, and a true emperor of Africa.